Good evening. Welcome to Larry Rinker Golf Live. Merry Christmas to everybody. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout while I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list and he's checking it twice. Gonna find out who's been naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping, knows if you're awake, knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Better watch out, you better not cry. Better not pout while I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. Santa Claus is coming to town. How you doing, everybody? My guest tonight, he's got his guitar back there. Mr. Mike Malaska. How you doing, buddy?
Great. How you doing, Larry? That's a man of many talents there. You know, that whole guitar thing and I've got mine here, people don't realize those small motor skills and playing that's great for your golf game.
You know, it really is. And, you know, I really never thought about this until, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, but tempo is something very important for controlling distance, isn't it?
Oh, there's no question. And when you look at music, it's all about staying to a beat. So
Right.
Playing music helps you when you start like your 4/4, whatever the beat is, and you're hitting on the beat, you learn how to control patterns and distance, and the golf swing in general is all about who controls their tempo best under pressure.
Oh, totally. And a lot of times that's one thing we see under the gun. Even the greatest players, they hesitate a little bit. They don't quite have that sync in their routine. And that messes with the timing of the swing and eventually ends up where the shot's not what they want.
Well, most people, you know, all of us, when you hit good shots, you know, tempo is the pace at which things happen. Sequence is the rhythm, and timing is what holds them together. So if your tempo holds, then you got a chance. But if your tempo keeps changing, then that means your sequence changes, which means your rhythm changes, which means your timing has to change to make it work. So it's like a drummer who comes in a little early or a little late on the beat, you know, and so all of a sudden, you know, it's just not syncing out.
Right.
So playing musical instruments from a small motor skill is important, but also like you would when you're playing and you're strumming and you're feeling a count and a beat is the same kind of thing you're doing when you're making a swing with a golf club. So it's really a big deal relative to playing golf.
And you want to get proficient enough that it's spatial, that it's kind of left brain. It's not like you're trying to analytically do it.
Well, there's a lot of really good players who have found songs that they like, and they'll play the song, and then they'll play their whole round thinking and feeling that song.
Right.
So, you know, and I mean, that's been around forever. So it's a body rhythm sync to a pattern or a rhythm more than position oriented, which kills people.
Yeah. So Mike, you and I were talking before the show started, and, you know, with COVID and 2020 is kind of coming to an end. We've got another 21 days of 2020, but there's a lot of things we all can do at home, and there's really an opportunity for people to learn how to play golf or improve their game at home, isn't there?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, with all the technologies that are out there now, it's become extremely affordable to, I mean, this is a high-end simulator, but they make them at, you know, very affordable prices where you can get a mat, hit into a net with a launch monitor that gives you the numbers. And if you know what you're working on, you've got your cell phone and you take some videos and somebody's helped you, and showing what you're working on, there's no reason why practice can't become on your time.
Right.
And, when I got into the fitness side of things, when I was doing that 35 years ago, it's all about accessibility. So if you're going to do a fitness routine and you want somebody to be successful, they got to be able to roll out of bed and do it right there. So the more accessible it is, the more chance they have of doing it a lot. So the better chance they have of seeing progress. It's the same thing with a golf swing. So the easier you have access to being able to practice on your time frame, which is what technology is now doing for us, then there's no reason why, when you're confined or whatever, you don't have a lot of time, you can find the time to get better, because you don't have to drive to the course, get there, get your shoe. I mean, that takes a lot of time.
Right.
And time is valuable. And now a lot of places they won't even let you do that.
Yeah, but it's really about working on the correct things. You and I spent a lot of time. I had a gentleman today, scratch golfer. We did a full day golf school, and he was talking about how, you think about Tiger's career, and you think about parts of, he always said he had to work through things to get through things. But what if he had those 3 or 4 years combined, from going from Butch to Hank to Sean Foley to Chris Como to now being his own coach, that if he had those 3 or 4 years where he wasn't always trying to reinvent himself, what would have happened if he had those 3 or 4 years?
Oh, I mean, Larry, I had an opportunity to watch him every year at Jack's tournament from 2099, 2000 on. And to watch what he had in 2000, and to watch him at the US Open, which I stood right behind him on Saturday and Sunday and watched him warm up for the last 2 rounds at Pebble Beach. And to watch that, knowing what I know about a golf swing, and then seeing him at Jack's tournament every year after that, he was trying to make changes. And I'm sure, in his mind, he was making changes to try to make himself better.
Right.
Which, 2020 is, which we are right now. Hindsight, he probably wouldn't have gone through those now. At the time,
well, I think it's kind of interesting, because you look at his junior career and the amateurs, the 3 juniors and the 3 amateurs he won before he met Butch. He really was kind of a low core player, strong grip, a lot of rotation in his lower body. Butch kind of made him more of a mid-core player, weakened his grip, got his grip a little closer to neutral, and got him more of what the swing types we like, that mid-core, the pretty swings. And I really believe Hank got his swing a little flatter, which is what he was doing as a junior, shallowing that plane with all that lateral and rotary motion in his lower body. And I think that's why that worked for him. And then Sean got him steeper and, got him to where he wasn't going to hit the ball left. But God almighty, the injuries and the surgeries that he's had throughout his career. And you think about how many players are still playing golf at our age that, okay, we had to go see the chiropractor, but we didn't have to have surgery.
Well, one of the bad things about where the biomechanics and all this is now is that when you're looking at pure speed, and there's a lot of ways to generate speed.
Right.
Where I've been lucky over my career is when I really got into it and I started to understand the human body, and somebody would say, well, if you do this, we can create more speed. And I'd go, yeah, but I have a question. If you do that and we do that, the speed might come out, but how about what it's doing to this compromising part of my body here? What's going to happen there? Well, yeah, that's good. So maybe you should get stronger in that area. And then my next question would be, okay, well, now I'm going to get stronger in an area to handle a force it's not designed to do. Well, now haven't I built an imbalance in my whole system? Well, yeah, kind of. So why would I want to do that for a few extra miles an hour at club head speed? But see, this whole speed thing has become the golden goose.
Right.
If you hit it further, you're going to be a better player. Well, see, I don't agree with that. I totally don't. It didn't happen in my career. I went through it, and I hit it plenty far, and I did some things, and some of the same things that are out there today. And yeah, my club head speed went up, but my control went down, and I ended up getting hurt. And so I've been lucky to be involved with people where I have an understanding when somebody starts moving, I can see what's going on in them physically and what's potentially going to break down. And Tiger, when he made a lot of the changes he made, compromised parts of his body that with as many repetitions and as high a speed, it wasn't a matter of if, it was just when.
Right. Well, it's interesting that stance widths will have an effect on where the balance is in your feet. And we know upper core players, everybody has upper, mid, and low core player stance widths. So if we stand in our upper core stance widths, our weight's in the balls of our feet. And if we're trying to gyrate our hips and clear our hips with the weight in the balls of our feet, that's just an injury. That's just, one micro tear away from you got a real problem.
Oh yeah, your joint, where the weight is in your feet allows you to do certain things. I have a pressure mat over here. Okay, and one of the things I've done, even since when we were doing physical therapy back in the 80s, when I was involved with that, people would come in and stand on a pressure mat. And you'd say, okay, just get neutral. Just get your balance even in both feet, in the center of both feet. Virtually no one, no one was actually balanced. So you get people who thought they were balanced, and they were 60% of the weight on their left foot, more towards the ball of their foot, 40% on their right foot towards their heel, and they thought they were centered.
Right.
Okay, so once you go, okay, so that's what this person thinks center is. So then when you put them in balance, you say, well, now here's really where balance is. It's a whole new awareness. And so that whole word of balance is, there's a lot of really, where they say get balance. What does that mean?
Right.
What do you mean by balance, and what are you trying to do? And what really is it? Static balance? Is it dynamic balance? Is what? They act like that everybody knows what balance is when they really don't.
No, and that's one thing I've learned from Doc Wright with right balance is upper core players are going to be in an upper core stance with their weight in the balls of their feet. And they're going to have their hips the least rotated impact. That low core player, your Dustin Johnson or Lee Trevino, Paul Azinger, David Duval, Daniel Berger, they're going to have the weight more in the middle of their feet. And so when they hit a golf ball, their weight's on their left heel at impact.
Yeah.
Whereas an upper core player is going to be more toward the front of their foot, like a Webb Simpson, Patrick Reed, or Jack Nicklaus. And then you have the mid-core player, which we're so infatuated with. That's where that player with the hips rotated about 40 to 45 degrees at impact, your average tour player. Well, their weight in the mid-core stance widths is in between the middle of their feet and the balls of their feet. But I tell you, how do you know that unless you get measured and you really know how your body should work? What's your natural swing? And I had a student last week who had a bunch of lessons, and one lesson he had with Butch Harmon. And so Vic Wilk, who played
Oh yeah.
played now the Corn Ferry Tour and might have won out there, good player, lefty. He's been working for Butch for a while. And so he's filming this gentleman that I just saw last week. And he said to him, I want your, he asked him, okay, make some swings for me. And this gentleman said, well, which swing do you want? And he said, well, I want your Men in Black swing. Like, well, what do you mean, Men in Black? He said, well, the movie, when they caught the aliens, they put this cone on their head and they went brain dead. So yeah. I want the brain dead swing.
Well, when I've learned over the years, and I know you do a lot of things to test people, but, I'll have a lot of people, I just have them, I watch their gait pattern, which tells me their stance width, that's a lot in gait patterns too. And then I'll just have them throw a ball or hit a base, swing like they're swinging a baseball. And let's not play golf. Just throw a ball for me. And I watch how they move. And I can tell as soon as they throw a ball, you can see some people, there's a lot of lower body goes, there's a lot of separation. Others, everything kind of goes together. And so you start seeing the DNA. You call it upper lower core. I call it DNA. Okay. So we all have DNA for motion.
Right.
So what is Larry Rinker's DNA? What is Mike Malaska's DNA? What is Alice Smith's DNA? And if you identify their DNA and how they move, and you fit the swing to fit how they move, you got a chance. But if you cross DNA patterns, and you well-intended you might be, that person has no chance of ever making that really consistent under pressure.
No, because I believe, and I know you're in this camp, that the less you have to think and the more natural your swing is, the more it's going to hold up under pressure.
No, yeah, well, I've had people say, well, I want a perfect swing. And I go, uh, in fact, I lost one very famous client over this. I won't use names, but I took him from a mid-teen handicap to winning their club championship at a really nice, really big club in less than a year. And
Wow.
at the end of the year, he goes, okay, I'm over working with him. And he goes, Mike, he said, I got to tell you, this is all good, but he says, I want a perfect swing. And so my question was, first of all, I said, well, you're gonna have to tell me what perfect is, because I'm not sure I've ever seen it. And here's what I can almost guarantee you, because I knew what he didn't like in his swing. I said, when you show me what perfect is, there's probably not a chance in hell that you can physically do it. And that was kind of the end of our relationship, because he wanted a perfect swing. So I said, if that's what you want, you're going to have to find somebody else, because I'm not going to be involved in making you worse.
Right.
Well, he's never really gotten much. In fact, he got worse. He's still a pretty good player, but he's never really got what he thought he wanted. Perfect is what duplicates under pressure.
Right.
And that fits in with how your DNA works, how your brain works, what your eyes see, all of those things. If you match those out and it works under pressure, it's a perfect swing.
Right. No, and I think I say to my students, Mike, all the time, the less I change, the better. Because at the end of the day, we all have to own our swing. And if we don't own it, if we don't understand it, if we don't understand our miss, why it went left, why it went right, why I hit it fat, why I hit it thin, we're not going to be able to fix ourselves out on the golf course and turn a 77 into a 72 or 3.
When I talked to Nicholas about practicing, what you said there is perfect. And it's what I say on my side. What I do is, don't just play golf, understand it. So you got to understand who you are. And then there becomes what you just said, which is critical, was when you're off, making adjustments. So when people practice, they don't get in a flow and then take time between shots like you have on the golf course, and then see what happens when you put time between it. And then if it misfires, you don't just get to hit another ball. You got to set and kind of figure it out, make a couple of practice swings and go, okay, what happened? What do I need to fix? Here's the practice swing. Let's see if I can integrate the adjustment and make it work. Jack's always said golf's a game of emotion and adjustments. And it's being able to read yourself in any situation, both physically and mentally, to pick the best shot for you to hit to get the most out of your game. So that's profound. It's emotion and adjustments. Most people never learn how to make adjustments. If it's on, they're good. If they're off, even these new young kids, I just played with one today.
Right.
If they're good, they're good. If they're bad, they're terrible. And I go, well, when are you going to fix what you've been doing for the last 4 holes? He goes, I don't know. He says, I just were on, it's not feeling good. I go, well, you just now missed the cut with those last 4 holes you played.
Right. Yeah, and you just ended your career because you didn't make Q school, or you didn't make enough money, or you ran out of money.
Yeah.
So Mike, I know a lot of people are chasing speed, and we have a lot of things out there that you can buy: super speed sticks, gel stick, orange whip. There's a lot of things you can purchase that now are heading into winter next week, and then what are we, 11 days from the shortest day of the year, December 10th. What are some things people can do at home to feel like they're keeping their golf muscles sharp and sustaining some kind of speed in their swing?
Well, look, first of all, the most important thing to maintain is mobility, joint mobility. That's not necessarily just flexibility, it's mobility. So you're doing things to maintain the motion in your joints and move. So if you're not playing golf, whether it's get on a stationary bike, go for walks, anything that you're moving, sit on a stationary ball at your desk, so that you're constantly moving. Whatever flexibility you can hold on to is also important. And then the speed sticks and the different things with the different weights if you want to maintain speed, heavy is more for range of motion and mobility. And you got to be careful about doing really heavy a lot, because you get more mobile, but you get slower. So anybody, when we used to train professional athletes, sprinters or anybody, like sprinters, for instance, we would run them downhill. Why? Because then they would go faster than they could really go. So they figured out how their body would pick up that rhythm. So in golf, if you want more speed, then you're better off swinging something lighter where you make it go faster.
Right.
And they've done all kinds of studies where somebody swings a heavy club and then they go to their normal club and the club feels really light, but when they look at their club head speed and see what it does, it comes up from the heavy club. But when they go really light and then they come back to the normal club, their club head speed goes up more coming from light to normal than going from heavy to normal. So, it's a combination of those two. But I would say if people make swings every day, just make the motion of a golf swing and maintain your mobility and some stuff like that, there's no reason to lose it, especially if you can hit balls, get a net and a mat, hit balls into a net, just so you keep the swing going.
Yeah, I really like what Hank Haney said, 100 swings a day.
Yeah.
That actually is hard to do.
No, it is, but he was right. That's one of the things that he said that I just went, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go for that one. Because just making the motion, and here's what I would say, more than just 100, you want to make 100, but make 75 of them your normal direction and 25 the opposite direction. Because that opposite direction then counters when you're just swinging one way, you contract one side of your body, elongate the other, and that builds an imbalance. You go the other way and it balances your body out. Plus, then when you come back to your normal swing, neurologically, you're more aware of where you are in space and time. So I would tell people in the wintertime, I tell all my people, get a club, swing it left-handed as much as you swing it right-handed.
Right.
Because it's going to balance you out. It'll keep you physically more structurally where you need to be.
Well, and I think it's important too, Mike, if somebody is upper core, and I know you're in this camp, that they've got to learn how to swing this club with their arms, hands, and wrists. And here I am swinging it with one club, and look how little my hips and chest are rotating. And then when I put two hands on it, now that engages my core more, and my arm swing is turning my chest. I get a kick out of people that think the chest can swing the arms.
Well,
but it's really the arm swing that turns the chest for most of us. Now, a low core player would lag and rotate, but they're ghost. I've only measured 14 of those out of over 1,000 people. So if you like Dustin Johnson's swing, that is 2-3% maybe of all golfers.
Oh no, and what you just did, that drills you just showed there, starting out with just this, even with just one arm, where you feel
right.
that, and you're hitting shots where your arm's swinging and your shoulders relax so your arm can go, and then
right.
you let your arm start to pull your shoulder, and then you let your body, and then you put your left hand on, because all these guys, even the ones who say they come into the ball and they say they turn, and I'm like, no, they don't. They start down and then their shoulders stop and their arms go and accelerate.
Right.
So that the whole deal of just turn through the ball and you're going to, no, nobody does that.
Well, I saw an article recently. I know you're going to laugh at this, but the teacher said that when the pivot stopped, the arms died. And I'm like, if the arms swing, it's going to turn your chest. So what's controlling what? The arms are controlling the chest, aren't they?
Well, yeah. And when you start talking gas pedals and brakes. So when I start down and my arms start and everything starts going, my left leg, I put the brakes on and my body starts to slow down. And what happens? Well, my arms accelerate.
Right.
If this keeps going and I keep pivoting with my arms, you can't, that nobody who's any good does that, yet I hear that all the time.
Right. We hear lag and rotate. How overrated is lag?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Well, open the face, hold the angle, twist your body, basically derailed my career.
Yeah, mine too. So
I mean,
that's why I like, hey, set up with a little bit of a closed stance, get that orange whip, get those super speed sticks, get the gel stick, and learn how to swing the club, get the club back in front of your chest, feel it go by you, let it pull you around. And if you've received your AARP card in the mail, that's probably going to work pretty well for you, isn't it?
it's going to work for pretty much everybody over 30. You know, it's like throwing a ball. I mean, if
Right.
all of a sudden I connected my arms to my body and I tried to throw something, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
So most of your speed in sports, is your body involved? Sure it is. But here's where most of your speed comes from. And if these levers work correctly and they start to go in an arc, your body's going to figure out what it has to do to accommodate it.
No, it totally is. And, it's interesting how we have this myth that the big muscles control the little muscles. And that has been just a train wreck for so many people. So Larry Rinker Golf Live is on Thursday night, 7:30 to 8 p.m. My guest tonight, Mike Malaska, 2011 PGA Teacher of the Year. We do have gift certificates. If you're looking for something for that loved one, you can reach me at larryrinkergolf@gmail.com. My new book is out, The Journeyman. You can also pick that up at larryrinkergolf.com. Mike Malaska, if you'd like to learn more about Mike, you can go to malaskagolf.com. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Titleist, FootJoy, the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando, and the Red Sky Golf Club in Vail, Colorado. Also, Right Balance V1 and Flight Scope. Mike, always great to catch up with you, my friend. I always learn from you. And Merry Christmas to you and your family, and happy holidays.
You too, Larry, and everybody out there. Enjoy what we have, enjoy the game, and let's have a great 2021.
Yeah, amen to that. Till next week, keep swinging.